we are just continuing that series of cardiovascular system like circulatory system. The part of the circulatory system we are also covering with all these details. So discuss the blood and the components of blood and related to clotting factor and hemostasis. In that video we'll cover the cardiovascular system. So firstly we have to know about what is the cardiovascular system. A cardiovascular system, or you can say the circulatory system, consists a muscular pump, that is the heart, a fluid, blood, lymph, so that can transport the materials. Series of blood vessels through a fluid can be pumped throughout or around the body. So heart, blood and vessels, these three components are there and collectively known as the circulatory system. So main motto of that is the maintain the optimum composition of the tissue fluids. So that is the one of the major goal in the circulatory system. Animal like sponge, rotifers, they don't need kind of circulatory system. This is the osteoculum. Water is coming in that their spongiocele, and in that cell water can directly enter in that portion. So it's kind of 2-3 cell types are there, not too much cell types are there. You can find that this is the pinacocyte and forms the outer covering sponge, and the phagocyte is the large food particles, like in that region outside they phagocytize and enter to that. So this is the oocyte or egg cell, and some of the porocyte cells are there that control the water flow. So like in that region, the water is there, so water need to enter, so that is the route to enter the water. So like in that section water is there, it should enter to that region, and that will that's the outside to that path. So this is the oocyte and porocyte, and that is the amoebocyte cells are there that delivers the nutrients. You can see that and differentiate into the other cell types, and that is the sclerocyte that the secrete the silica spiculates, and choanocytes. So not too much type of cell types, few cell types are there, and the main thing, the water can be diffused or water is entering into the body, and they take that essential element or nutritious element according to their food habit. They will just phagocytized and like pinocytized, and then it's coming to that. So that is the basic sponge body, because they don't need kind of circulatory system. So they can directly absorb, they can directly diffuse the materials from the external environment. Okay, now we are just going through some other animals, like some of the animal like rotifers are also, and some jellyfish. So they inform for jellyfish, say they don't have also the circulatory system, because the nutrients, gases and wastes are exchanged by diffusion. But in higher animals like the arthropods, many molluscs, they need the closed circulatory system. So first we will just introduce their different kind of circulatory systems, and now we are going through the open and closed circulatory system. So you can find the capillary are there, that's why there is no kind of mixing of that, no, there is no mixing, like the CO2 and O2 blood is not mixed. There is artery, and this is the arteriole and vein. In the venule the heart is pumping, that is a called closed system. But in that previous one, that is an open system, there O2 is coming, and this is a mixing of the blood with the tissue fluid, because there is the open is there, that means the blood and tissue both are mixed. So in the open circulatory system is common to molluscs and arthropod. Open circulatory system pump the blood into the hemocoel, with the blood diffusing back to the circulatory system between the cells. So hope you can understand that. For differences we write down that the open circulation and one other is the closed circulation. For the open circulation, the hemolymph is directly collect to the organ and tissue. So directly contact with that organ and tissue, you can find they directly connect with the contact hemolymph, which contact with the tissue. So for closed, the blood circulates in closed tubes, vessels, and most components do not come the direct contact with organ and tissue because it's a closed system. So it's done. And now coming to the next point, like tissues and organs are direct contact into the circulatory blood because this is open system. So like and for closed system, the tissues and organs are direct contact into the tissue fluid, not in the circulating fluid. Like tissue fluid, it's come direct contact into the tissue fluid. Yes, done. Now another the slow movement of the blood with very low pressure because there is no kind of closed system, so everything is open. That's why pressure is kind of very low. So very low pressure, and this will be the closed vessel. That's why like this is a closed vessel. If it is a closed vessel, then the pressure will be the more. So and the flow of the fluid will be more high. That's why it will be like very rapid and the high pressure. The direct exchange of the gases and nutrients between the blood and the tissue, that the direct exchange of the gases, and for the closed one, that will be the nutritional cross the capillary wall to the tissue, and they are taken by the tissues, like coming to the capillary region and capillary to the tissue region. Now the less efficient system, because open circulation don't have any kind of control, like only in the diffusion based. So like for that, the less efficient blood volume of fluid flowing through a particular tissue cannot be controlled, and for closed system it will be like very essential and very efficient volume of the blood particular tissue can be regulated by vasoconstriction or vasodilation. Like this is the blood vessel, so in that blood vessel it can be constricted or can be dilated. So both the things are possible. If vasoconstriction is there, that means blood pressure get increased. For vasodilation, blood pressure is diminished. So that can controlled in that closed system. And in open system there is no kind of respiratory pigments, and in closed system the respiratory pigments are there. The HB is hemoglobin is there. So like in RBCs are there. So hemoglobin is the respiratory pigment. Like in closed circulation, it's an essential. So you get the example like arthropods and non-cephalopods are in the open circulation, and closed circulation it's a most developed animal like chordata and annelids. These animals are in the closed circulation. Hope that will be very easy and clear cut comparison on that. So and here you have to remind for your exam purposes or for the understanding of that the closed system is more like in vasoconstriction, in vasodilation, and the. So what are the advantages? So already we have discussed what is the closed system and what is the open system. Now we are concentrate about the what are the benefits. Blood can flow more rapidly through the vessels than the intercellular space because it's a closed system. That's why the flow of the blood is more rapid because that is a vessel. So flow will be in like that manner. Flow will be in manner, so not to and fro, like it is in the in a streamline flow. And already we have discussed the resistance is changing because their blood vessels walls are different and somewhere the valves are there, so that means the resistance in the wall is changing. That's why vasoconstriction and the vasodilation happen. And the transport of hormones and nutrition can be kept in the vessel because these are the another essential element that can control the flow. So along with some of the regulatory molecules, some of the growth factors that can be stored in the vessels. If it is not in vessel, like they are in different places, they are not in organized in a specific position. So the transport of hormones and nutrients can be kept in the vessels. So now we are coming to the comparative vertebrate heart, like first amphibians or primitive chordate is the part of the ventral aorta, and that can like muscular and contractile, and that you can say okay it's a heart. So it's a one chamber, single chamber heart on amphibians. Now we are going to the two chambered heart, because the concept will clear here. This is the two chamber line and gill capillaries are there, and these are the in one section is the ventricle along the atrium. The bloods are coming in the atrium always. So it's you can say that that is the deoxygenated blood, like CO2s are there, like CO2 are there in specific region. So these bloods are coming from the body to atrium, and it will pump to the ventricle, and ventricle to the body. The gill capillaries are there in the gill. They become the oxygenated, and this is the O2 oxygenated blood and coming to that region, and after that this cycle will going on. This is a fish heart on one atrium, one ventricle. So this is the two chamber, and this circulation also is known as the gill circulation. This is also known as the gill circulation. And blood then continuous rest the body, and before arriving back at the atrium it is called the systematic circulation. So this is the systematic, and this is the gill oriented, so it is called the gill circulation. Two circuit blood flow in amphibians, reptiles, bird, mammals. Blood flow is directed in two circuits, so one through the lungs and back to the heart. It is called the pulmonary circulation. So in gill nothing is there, but for in pulmonary circulation, the blood is pumped to the lungs and lungs to the heart. That is called the pulmonary circulation. I'll just written down here in a brief. Pulmonary circulation. If it is pumped to the lungs, like in three chambered, like some of the fishes are the three chambered, or you can the fourth chamber, the blood is pumped to the lungs. You can think in that position, lungs is there. The exchange will change, not every time it's in gill. Okay, now we are covering the three chambered. For reptile heart it will be like three chambered, and would reduce the efficiency of oxygenation. The advantage to this arrangement that the highly pressure that the vessels push the blood to the lungs and in a body, and mixing and mitigate reeds within the ventricle and deliver the oxygen rich blood to the systematic circulation. Okay, now the advanced three chambered. Okay, let's talk about some of the alligators and crocodiles. They have their like you can see some of these partial septum is there, not interseptum, and that is also the three chamber, but this found in the some alligator and crocodiles, and to exhibit the it not the completely four, but it's kind of may want to make the four chamber heart. The crocodiles are unique circulatory mechanism, whether the heart sends blood from the lungs towards the stomach and other organs during the long period of submersion, and for instance whether the animals wait for prey or stay underwater waiting for the prey to rot. Now we are going to the fourth chamber, that is the mammalian heart, the two atrium and two ventricle. So now we are just talking about the blood, that this is the blood from heart, it's coming to artery, and there is the arteriole, and then it's connected with the venule and then the vein. So this is the capillary. In that figure we just showing then how the capillaries are formed. So to understanding that for capillary we are just mentioning with that.